God, that music sucks. Sorry. I'll find some good music someday. All right. Uh, I am having some computer problems, so if this fails, I will apologize for that right up front. If I could get a yay or nay on the audio. Hello, Eli. How you doing? We got some yays on the audio. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. I do apologize for the crappy music there at the beginning. You search for royalty-free music, you're not gonna get really good music. It's just the way it is. I'll try to choose better next time. I'm gonna be streaming for about an hour. Um, we're supposed to get some strong thunderstorms, and I want to be done before that, just in case we decide to lose our electricity or internet, which tends to happen a lot in the summertime. So about an hour. I'm going to be going through a bash scripting tutorial. I'm a bash scripting noob. Everybody knows that. So I just thought I'd, actually go to school for some bash. That's the plan. So be prepared to be bored out of your mind. That's probably what I'll end up being, is bored. But we'll see. Probably because the first part of the bash tutorial is going to be stuff that I already know. Or at least I hope so. But we'll see. My main rig specs. I have a 3800X, a Ryzen 5 3800X, and um, the graphics card's a 580, a Radeon 580 or something like that, and then I have 64 gigabytes of RAM for no reason. But for whatever reason, when I went through and tried to drag a tab from one workspace to another, it went through and it looked like it was running on a Lenovo from 2005. It was horrible. I just switched to Vanilla Arch, and I'm guessing that I have some codec problems or something. I don't know. As long as it's working, I guess it doesn't really matter. Everything seems to be running fine now. Why I did that before, I don't know. We'll see. If it does it again, hopefully not. I don't know how to turn on my computer. How are you supposed to go about doing that? Is that the big red button? Hmm. We can close this. Okay. I'll get started here in a few minutes. Just give some people time in to join in. Again, I'm just going to be going through a tutorial I found online. It's a free tutorial, so I don't know the quality of the tutorial. Hopefully it's not terrible. If it is a terrible tutorial, then I'll find another one, I guess. I don't have a backup right now, but we'll see. Um, I will not be streaming for 4 hours like last week, so just keep that in mind. Oh man, I did delete all of my. I didn't delete the bash files. I just moved them into the gut.config file. So but I've not set a environment variable for them. So hopefully, that doesn't cause any problems later on. I haven't noticed any problems until just before I started this stream, where I went to try to move that Firefox tab into a different tag. I haven't tried BSD. I know people have wanted me to try BSD, but I haven't got there yet. Hello, Carlos from Peru. I imagine it's hot there, but I don't know anything about Peru other than basic location. I know it's hot as hell here. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is probably going to be very boring. Greetings from not Peru. Okay. But let's go ahead and switch to this. So this is the tutorial. I'm going to put a link to the tutorial in the chat and pin it to the top. if anybody wants to follow along with what I'm doing here. So that way you can follow along if you'd like to, or do this later on your own if you'd like to. Again, I don't guarantee the quality of this tutorial because I've never taken it before. This is just something that I've had open in a tab for a while and decided that I wanted to do. And every week I bitch about YouTube sending me an email saying that I'm live. Like, yes, I know that I'm live. You don't have to remind me. It's dumb. YouTube. What are we going to do with you? Alright. So the beginning of this tutorial is basically just saying that the following pages are intended to give you a solid foundation how to write bash scripts. So that's the goal of the tutorial. Then teach you a little bit about what bash is in terms of history and what it stands for and stuff like that. Bash is the default on most Linux distributions, and this is actually not true anymore because Mac OS switched to ZSH like last year or something. So must be a reasonably old tutorial, but it's okay. Let's see here. The bash scripting tutorial is divided into 8 sections. In general, I recommend you work through them in order, but if you've come here just to learn about a specific topic, then who am I to slow you down? Just head straight on over. And we're going to start at the beginning. You can now jump into section 1 and get started, or keep reading below to learn a little bit more about this tutorial. I think we're just going to go ahead and jump in. Step 1. What is a bash script? Now, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here so that everybody can see. This page is mostly foundation information. It's kind of boring, but essential stuff that will help you to appreciate why and how certain things behave the way they do once we start playing around with the fun stuff, which I promise we'll do in the next section. Okay, well, as long as he promises. Let's see, taking the time to read and understand the material in this section will make the other sections easier to digest, and so persevere and we'll get through. They'll be worth your time. Okay. Oh, I hope so. We'll see. So what are they exactly? Grammar, people, is good. Alright. Think of a script for a play or a movie or a TV show. The script tells the actors what they should say. If this is going to be full of metaphors, I'm going to, be very upset. A script for a computer tells the computer what it should do or say, blah, 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 blah. We're telling well, yeah. A bash script is a plain text file which contains a series of commands. These commands are a mixture of commands we would normally type ourselves on the command line. Are we saying something here? The commands are a mixture of commands we would normally type ourselves on the command line, such as ls or cp, except for neither of those things are bash, and commands that we type in the command line but generally wouldn't. There has to be another word that means command or something. I don't know. He's used it a lot in that sentence. An important point to remember, though, is anything you can run normally on the command line can be put into a script and it will do exactly the same thing. Similarly, anything you can put into a script can also be run normally on the command line and it will do the exact same thing. Okay. You don't need to change anything. Just type the commands as you would normally, as they would behave, and they will behave as they would normally. This guy has a really good way of repeating words in the same sentence. It is just that instead of typing them in the command line, we are now entering them into a plain text file. In this sense, if you know how to do stuff at the command line, then you already know a fair bit in terms of bash scripting. I think that that's actually true because there's a lot of commands and stuff that you do on the command line that have nothing to do with bash. Like, again, ls or cp, neither one of those things are bash. Those are programs, I think, that aren't bash. Maybe they're written in bash. I don't even know. I don't think so, though. It is convention to give files that are bash scripts an extension of .sh. Okay. As you would be aware, or if As you would be aware, and if you're not, maybe you should consider reviewing our Linux tutorial. Linux is an expressionless system, so a script doesn't necessarily have to have this characteristic in order to work. That was a reasonably hard sentence to read. Okay, how do they work? Well, it's not necessary to understand this in order to write scripts, but it can be useful to know once you start getting into the more complex scripts. In the realm of Linux, I'm assuming he means GNU/Linux, we have the concept of programs and processes. A program is a blob of binary data consisting of a series of instructions for the CPU and possibly other resources, images, files, sound files, and such, organized into a package and typically stored on your hard disk. When we say we are running a program, we are not really running the program, but a copy of it, which is called a process. What we do is copy those instructions and resources from the hard disk into working memory. I mean, this is very scintillating stuff here. We also allocate a bit of space in RAM for the process to store variables, to hold temporary working data, and a few flags to allow the operating system to manage and track the process during its execution. Essentially, a process is a running instance of a program, okay? Well, we're definitely starting at the basics of computing here. When we are at the terminal, we give a bash process running in when we are at the terminal, we have a bash process running in order to give us the bash shell. If we start a script running, it doesn't actually run in that process, but instead starts a new process to run inside. We'll demonstrate this in the next section on variables, and its implications should become clearer. For the most part, you don't need to worry too much about this phenomenon, however. Haha. Yeah. I'm a writer. Don't end your sentence with the word however. Don't do that. Let's see, running a bash script is fairly easy. Another term you may come across is executing the script, which means the same thing. Before we can execute a script, it must have the execute permission set. Okay, we know that. If you forget to grant this permission before running the script, you'll just get an error message telling you as such, and no harm will be done. Okay. The shorthand 755 is often used for scripts as it allows the owner to write and modify this right. Giving a brand new person this information is like severely dangerous without context. Like seriously, no, I mean, you didn't even give them like a description. I mean, you've described how computers work, but you didn't describe, chmod. Okay. Here are the contents of myscripts.sh. Echo hello world. Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's break it down. Line 1, this is what is referred to as a shebang. See below for what this is. Okay, this is a comment. All right. In this command echo, which will print a message to the string, you can type this command yourself on the command line and it will behave exactly the same. The syntax highlighting is there only to make it easier to read and not something you need to do in your own files. Okay. Why the dot slash? Did we see a dot slash here somewhere? No. Possibly knowing that when we run a normal command such as ls, we just type its name, and when running a script above, I put a dot slash in front of it. It bang. Okay. Actually, does it explain here somewhere why it's called a shebang? Now, see, if you wanted to get into the history of that, that'd be interesting. The first line of the script above, the hash exclamation point character sequence, is referred to as a shebang. Following it is the path of the interpreter or program. This should be used to run or interpret the rest of the lines in the text file. For bash scripts, it'll be a path to bash, but there are many other types of scripts, and they each have their own interpreter, which is true because you can put, Python or Ruby or any of those kind of things up there, I believe, as well, when you're just writing a script like that. Formatting is important here. The shebang must be on the very first line of the file. Line 2 won't do even if the first line is blank. Now see, I didn't know that. I just figured it had to be the first line, no matter which actual line it was on. Just nothing before it, but okay. There must be no spaces between the hashtag or the exclamation point and the path to the interpreter. Whilst you could use a relative path for the interpreter, most of the time you're going to want to use an absolute path. You will probably be running the script from a variety of locations, so absolute is the safest, and often shorter than relative path 2 in this particular case. It is possible to leave out the line with the shebang and still run the script, but it is unwise. If you are at a terminal and running the bash shell and you execute a script without a shebang, then bash will assume that it's a bash script. So this will only work assuming the user running the script is running in a bash shell, and there's a variety of reasons why this may not be the case, which is dangerous. Okay. You can also run bash. I mean, if you don't have it in there, it's just going to end up being regular text, right? I don't know why it would be dangerous. Passing the script as an argument. While this is safe, it also involves unnecessary typing every time you want to run the script. Given the observations, it is best to always include the shebang. Okay, formatting, which is the last one of the second sentence. A hashbang? I'm sure that other people call it other things. Hey, what's up, Terminal for Life, man? Welcome to the most boring explanation of bash in the history of the world. This guy has now taught us what a computer does, which is nice, and how a program runs, and we just learned about shebangs. But he did not tell us the origin of the word shebang, which was disappointing to me, because I really wanted to know where the word shebang came from. I'm assuming it's like a mashup of two words. I'm guessing. Anyways, as we saw above, formatting for the shebang was important. No spaces must be in the first line. There are many areas in bash scripts where formatting is important. Typically, it involves spaces, and either the presence or absence of a space can be the difference between the command working or not. Actually, the bang thing probably dates back to like Morse code or something. Thinking about it. I seem to remember something about that. Where was I? I don't even remember. Typically involves spaces or either the presence or absence of which can be the difference between the command working or not. I'll point these out as we encounter them. Also, get in the habit of being mindful of the presence or absence of spaces when looking at code. The main reason for this is that bash was originally developed as an interface for users to interact with the system and later extended to have more powerful scripting capabilities. Many decisions regarding its behavior were made considering only the needs of the user, and then scripting capabilities had to be working later around those decisions. Interesting use of commas there. I guess I'm going to be critiquing this guy's grammar like crazy because that's what I do for a living. People generally don't mind this, however, as bash scripts are still an awesome tool for quickly and easily joining existing programs into more powerful solutions. Okay. I have seen students spend quite a bit of time and frustrations that a piece of code that looks perfectly fine isn't working. They get quite embarrassed when they find out that the culprit, a space that either should or shouldn't be there. Parentheses. Okay. You will probably make this mistake a few times yourself before it sinks in, so don't worry too much about the sooner. Okay, you could have used one of the commas you use up here in this sentence. The sooner you get the hang of it, the happier you'll be. Smiley face. Okay. Uh, yeah, I'm guessing that's probably true, but I'm still gonna mock him. Uh, um, I can't help it. Indenting of code is another area of formatting that is important. We'll look at indenting of code in section 5, if statements, when it becomes relevant. Indenting is not required, but it does make your code easier to read and makes it harder to make simple errors. Yes, the smiley face, right? At least use an actual emoji. Like, come on, man. And it's really easy to get to these. All right. Moving on to variables, an interesting place to start. Although, granted, the Python course that I'm taking also started with variables, so maybe that's just the way these courses always start out. I don't know. All right. Give me just a second. I got to answer a message. This is what you all wanted me to do, was to go through and look at my phone for half this time. Let's see. Hey, Philip, how you doing? Hi, Chris. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I am answering a text message right now. I'll be right back. Very embarrassing, but stuff is going down in my family that I have to deal with. All right, let's see. For those of you who have dabbled in programming before, you'll be quite familiar with variables. For those of you who haven't, think of a variable as a temporary store for a simple piece of information. Okay, we understand that. These variables can be very useful for allowing us to manage and control the actions of our bash script. We'll go through a variety of different ways that variables have their data set and ways we can use them. Variables are one of those things that are actually quite easy but to use, but are also quite easy to get yourself into trouble with if you don't properly understand how they work. As such, there is a bit of reading in this section, but yes. But if you take the time to go through and understand it, you will be thankful you did later on when we start dabbling in more complex scripts. Okay. I'm glad they didn't start out with this complex stuff, because I would have been lost. A variable is a temporary store for a piece of information. There are two actions we may perform for variables: setting a value for a variable and reading the value for a variable. Variables may have their variable value set in a few different ways. The most common are to set the value directly and for its value to be set as a result of processing by a command or program. You will see examples of both below. To read the variable, we then place its name preceded by a $sign anywhere in the script we would like. Before Bash interprets or runs each line of our script, it first checks to see if any variable names are present. For every variable it has defined, it replaces the variable name with its value. Then it runs the line of code and begins the process again on the next line. Here are a few quick points on syntax. They will be elaborated on and demonstrated as we go for into more detail below. Hello, I think your name. Hello, Leo. Everybody's in the chat. Welcome. This is basically me just reading a tutorial. It is linked in the pinned thing up there if you wanted to follow along. How far I get, I don't know. I did read about how a computer executes programs, so that was something nice. Okay, when referring to or reading a variable, we place a $sign before the variable name. When setting a variable, we leave out the $sign. Some people like to always write variable names in uppercase so they stand out. It's your preference, however. They can be all uppercase, all lowercase, or a mixture. A variable may be placed anywhere in a script or on the command line for that matter, and when run, bash will replace it with the value of the variable. This is made possible as the substitution is done before the command is run. Command line arguments. Yes, how could you miss this? Command line arguments are commonly used and easy to work with, so they are a good place to start. Oh, for crying out loud, leave me alone. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to go through and actually take care of this. Of course, family just will not leave you alone when you want, and I can't actually get anything to come up, of course. I've never seen my computer actually run this slow before. This is ridiculous. I wonder if it's going to do this with like a terminal as well. No, that came right up. It must be just Firefox that's going slow. Weird. Okay, well, I'm waiting for Android messages on the web to actually load so I can type in fast. I'll continue to read this. I hope not to terminal for life. That would suck. I'm actually 100% sure that it's OBS that is causing things to slow down. I don't, because everything was running good before I started OBS. But I do have like 1, 2, 3, 4 instances of Firefox open. But I don't think. I mean, there's nothing here that's going too crazy in terms of CPU usage or anything. I mean, OBS is a little high, but that's to be expected because I'm streaming. Memory usage and everything just seems to be fine. So I don't know what's going on there. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see here. When we run a program on the command line, you would be familiar with supplying arguments after it to control its behavior. For instance, we can run command ls-l /etc-l and it's okay, so that was an X. There's a period there. Okay, -l and etc are both command line arguments to the command ls. We can do similar with our bash scripts. To do this, we use the variables $1 to represent the first command line argument, $2 to represent the second command line argument, and so on. These are automatically set by the system when we run our scripts, so that all we need to do is refer to them. Let's look at an example. And now scroll back up. That's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna. The thing is, all right, I'm gonna quit this here. I'll come back to it. Actually, I'm gonna move it over here. Just a second. I don't even know what's going on here. Like, actually, it's fine. I'm gonna close that, and I'm gonna close. Yeah, I don't even care right now. I just want this to. Why is my computer just like I've been having so many computer problems for the last 2 weeks. It's been unbelievable. I thought. Okay, so I put up a poll after last week's show, asking where I should go next, and Void won. And I tried to go to Void, and I installed Void like 4 times, and the first 3 times it got stuck before Grub, and I don't know what was going on there. The 4th time it did install properly and got past Grub, but it got stuck in the TTY and wouldn't let me log in, even for root. I don't know what was going on there. I have no clue. And by that time I was sick of installing Linux, so I had to go through and actually install Arch Linux, because I just figured I'd go back to what I was doing, where I was, and I've still had nothing but problems. I don't know what the hell's going on. Um, yeah. So I just want to make sure I have this. Like, I don't understand what's going on with my computer. Yeah, I said at the beginning that I don't guarantee the goodness of the script at all. So we'll see how it goes. If the computer doesn't go, you know, whatever. All right. So what I'm gonna have to do is actually, because I'm trying to close all instances of Firefox, so I'm going to close the chat here for just a minute and see if I can completely restart Firefox. I'm closing this. Maybe that did the thing that it needed to do. Okay. Computer, just use Windows, okay? Just use Windows. Now I can actually respond to the message that I needed to respond to. Yes, this is much better. So for some reason Firefox was just completely effing up. Yes, this is so much better. That's really weird. I've never had Firefox do that before. Um anyway, so now just give me a couple minutes, guys. I'm sorry. I'm having problems. Um all right. I did actually go through and download that ebook for that you were talking about, Terminal for Life. You were talking, I think, in one of your streams about the Bash ebooks. I downloaded that. I haven't started it yet, but I'm gonna do that as well. That one's gonna be much more reliable than this thing that I'm doing here. Um, okay. Yeah, it was. I think it was that one. There, I actually just Googled Bash scripting books or whatever, and there was a list on on a website somewhere. Uh, and it was the first one on there, so I think that's the one that I downloaded. But I'm gonna download them all actually. Uh, yeah, Windows 11. Yeah, I know. I'm still working on it. Everything's just running really slow. So give me a couple minutes and I'll figure this out. If I'm I really don't have to stop the stream and start over, like after actually reboot the computer, control alt delete. Alright, Firefox, would you please, for the love of God, stop? The thing is, it's just Firefox. Like, I'm back on the scripting tutorial now, and it looks like it's scrolling like one like page at a time, and it like skips to another page. It's really weird. And I'm about 10 seconds away from just installing Chrome. Yes, don't go away, kids. I'll be right back. I'm also ignoring the chat for a minute, because I've closed Firefox now like twice. So, for example, not to use Arch. That's good. I do use Arch, by the way. Everybody who's watching this, I do apologize. I'm working on it in the background. That's why I put my lovely face on here, because then I can. Uh, wow. Okay, that didn't work. Okay. All right. I think I got this. Oh, that's better. Okay, good. All right. Sorry. Don't be ashamed of your Linux distro. It's okay. Yeah, there's something going on with Firefox. I don't know what the problem is. It's really weird because nothing else in the system is running. I mean, OBS is running perfectly fine. And I mean, OBS takes up way more resources than Firefox does. I mean, at least in terms of CPU usage. And it's not, like I said, it's not as if. I mean, I can go here again. Like, Firefox is, yeah, it's using up some CPU usage here, and it's using a little bit of memory. Where's the memory one? Here. But again, there's nothing here that's crazy in terms of memory. I mean, and that's actually sorted, the wrong way, I guess. I don't know any of that. This is installed on a system that has GNOME as its default like desktop environment. So I have a lot of GNOME shit that runs in the background for whatever reason. Like GDMX section, that does not need to run when I'm running in a window manager. I've got a lot of work to do in terms of all this nonsense. I didn't script this program. This is BPyTop. This is written in Python. I know very little Python. I just started the course. And that's literally, it's all I've gotten past is the variables. Anyways, I don't know. Then install updates. Then install Brave. If Brave would stop sending me like notifications, maybe I would give that a try. But no. Okay. But I think all I wanted to do was a bash scripting tutorial. Like, all I want to do is work through that. I don't even know why I wanted to do it anymore. Nothing. This is the worst stream ever. Anybody who's watching this, you're a champion. The scrolling part is still weird. I'm beginning to wonder if it's not something to do with PyCom. But it doesn't look like screen tearing. It looks like... Brave sends notification. Every time I've installed Brave, it installs notifications. Not okay. Sometimes this is good, sometimes it's bad. All right. All right. Really? Oh, it must be Brave bin. Really? Okay. Brave is not in the actual AUR repository? Or Arch like the Arch community repository? It's in the AUR. That's really weird. Okay. So what you wanted to see me do is install Brave on the stream. Yay. And then I'm gonna have to actually go through and sign into YouTube so I can actually see the chat. That's great news. Like, this is good stuff. And of course, Brave can be easy to install. Like, lickety split, I mean. Okay. Let me see if I can. I still have Firefox open. Could just go through that book. Yeah, it's probably a good. All right. You want to what? Well, I really am. Okay, no, I'm not frozen. Okay, it's okay. Question and answer time. I'm sick of fire troubleshooting this. I'll take some questions and answers in the chat if you have questions and answers. We'll just call this the question and answer stream that was supposed to be a bash scripting tutorial. So if you have a question for me, put it in the chat. I'll answer it. It'll be better than me trying to actually go through and log into everything in Brave so that I can actually get things. Because I do actually have the chat still open here, so that's good. I won't be able to scroll up or down, so if I miss it, you might have to ask this again. Gen 2. Do you know the question for it? I do know the question for it. The question is the most painful 4 hours of my life. What was the most painful 4 hours of my life? That was Stan. That was the question for it. Was that it was horrible. I did think about calculate Linux though. I did think about it, and maybe someday I'll go through and install it on a virtual machine or something. But the days of me trying to actually install Gen 2 are over. I'm sad to say. That was painful. I did figure out what went wrong though. Remember how it ended trying to emerge Network Manager? It had nothing to do with Gen 2. The virtual machine crashed in the background. Like the virtual box was completely dead in the background. Um, yeah, and I actually had to force kill it. That's how frozen it was. Mm. So Gen 2 strikes back. Okay. All right. No. I don't. I have a YouTube audience that is obsessed with Gen 2, much more than Arch. I thought that there'd be a whole bunch of Arch people out there, but really like half the people who watch my videos are Gen 2 people, which seems pretty high. I thought there was like 12 people in the world that use Gen 2. Um, yeah. Was installing Void easy? Yes, the installation for Void is very good if it was successful. And I don't think it had anything to do with Void. I think my computer hardware just wasn't capable or compatible with it or something. I don't know. I've been having hardware problems, and I don't know what's wrong with this computer because it's a year old. Um, Gen 2 and emacs. What else do you need, right? I need neither of those things. Would you ever make a video looking at one of my programs, AutoExec, for example? Uh, yeah, I would make a video like that. I just have to have something to an idea for one. Because I definitely couldn't go through and critique your scripting. That'd be like me going through and critiquing Elvis's singing or something. I don't know. An amateur critiquing somebody else's professional's bash script or bash script. But yeah, it'd be cool to do a video on like AutoExec or something. That'd be fun. I do think, though, by the way, let's see if I can go through and actually do this. Look what we have here. Things are running smoothly. I don't know what was going on, though. It just started working. Uh, Let me see if I can actually get the chat now in a different place. Where did I get the Tux poster? Oh, this thing here? I got it on Amazon. Um, yeah, it came from China, but it took like, I don't know, 6 weeks to actually get here. But yeah, it came here. It's not as nice as it showed in the description on Amazon, though. The colors are a little off, but it's not bad. It was like 16 bucks. Yeah, I just got on Amazon, typed in links poster, and it came up. Literally, you can buy anything on Amazon. You can buy a house on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. Like one of those kits or whatever that you build yourself. That actually used to be a really big thing because you could actually buy a house kit from like Sears and Roebuck and have it would come to you like in pieces. They were numbered and you just put it up yourself. I'd get one of those kits and then the house would tip over. Okay. Where did I want to see if I can actually drag this? Yep, there it goes. That's good. All right. I typed house and it sent me to some CDs with audio. I read somewhere where you could actually buy a house. This is going to be the dumbest thing. We're going to Amazon here. Let's see here. House, pre-built house. Yeah, like this is a barn woodshed kit. I feel like I actually read somewhere where you could actually buy a house. Like it wasn't actually like a big house or anything. It came in pieces. I don't know. Maybe I imagined it. Um, but still, I mean, can you imagine? Also, this thing here, free shipping. I want to compile my house. You, my friend Peter, are a little obsessed with Gen 2. I'm just gonna go out there and say that you need help. Okay. All right. Well, that was dumb. I don't even at this point going go through the bash tutorial just seems pointless. Mainly because this bash tutorial was horrible. It did go all over the place. Like, put all the variable substitution like was before they even showed you how to do like a regular variable. So it was really weird. I do have that. Uh, Let me see if I can actually go through. I'm gonna cut away from the screen for a minute so that I can, just in case my sync tabs or something has something in there that I don't want anybody to see. And Firefox is back to doing its shit. What the flying fuck? Alright, you wanna know what? I'm done. Fuck this shit. Yeah, this is dumb. Alright. Um. Uh, I don't know what to say. I should have stuck with a Q&A. Yeah, pattern substitution or command substitution is what they're calling it here in the fourth line, but that comes before any of the actual. Oh, it is after setting your own variables, but still, it's like right after. Um, I linked, like I said, I linked it up above Learn Linux or Terminal for Life. I'm gonna I'm gonna call you Learn Linux forever. If you wanted to make a video about that, it'd be fun to have you mock this. You know, if you wanted to do that. Um, this is actually the first stream there where what I planned to do was a complete failure, and it's a hardware failure or Firefox failure or something. I don't know what the hell's going on. Um, roll this into fixing Firefox. I don't. The problem is I don't know what the hell's going on with Firefox. I don't. The only thing I'd note is uninstall it and reinstall it, and even then, well, I could remove the user because it could be a user Chrome.css problem. Because I use user Chrome.css, so that could be an issue. But even then, I mean, I don't know. That's dumb. Dumb. I don't know what's going on. $5 says that this causes me to hop distros again, though. And like I don't. I mean, is it because everything was running fine until I started OBS? I'm gonna do some searching. I wonder. All right, DuckDuckGo, you're completely just useless. So he's back to actually scrolling okay now, even if there's some screen tearing there on screen, but I think that's something else. Ensure your graphics drivers are up to date, which I'm using AMD GPU, so yeah. Windows 10 memory leak. Okay, that does not helpful. My computer lags when I stream OBS. And they put this on the Twitch subreddit for some reason. Okay. When I don't stream. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I wonder if it's that. It's not gonna let me change anything for the stream, but there's. I bet you I'm because when you when you hop, a lot of times your OBS settings don't get transferred over properly. I bet you that's what's going to be causing the problem. Even though it's not coming through in terms of like high CPU usage or something, it could still be causing some issues there. Yeah, that's something to look at after I'm done. Because you can't actually change that while you're streaming. Ah, yes, I was ranting about how stable Arch is. Uh, but the thing is up until that point, I hadn't had any problems with Arch, like, ever. And I'm still not convinced this is an Arch problem. Use whatever distro you want to use. Honestly, if Debian Stable had like a good resource for like applications that weren't PPAs or snaps, I'd probably use Debian Stable or something based off from it. I really liked MX Linux. If MX, like I said, if MX Linux had a good source of software like the AUR, yeah, I know it's been one issue after other, but I still don't think it's Arch related, but it could be. The biggest problem I was having was some USB connectivity problems, but that seems to have stopped since I hopped. It's really weird. I know somebody was actually going through and coding like a AUR for Ubuntu. It's weird, but it does exist. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I will know that I will have this fixed by next week before I do another stream. It was, yeah, I know the Ubuntu podcast guys were talking about the AUR for Ubuntu thing, and they kind of lambasted it, or at least Wimpy did. Yeah, it literally did. It was listing like they had to manually add every single like package that they supported. It is a very chill stream if you don't pay attention to Matt, you know, uh, throwing a fit because of Firefox in the background. That's true with the AUR thing there, Terminal Flight. They probably did start off very small. Uh, I don't think that the lack of, I think they probably picked up support though really fast. Honestly, I think the Ubuntu guys are much too attached to snaps to even consider an alternative. It's back to scrolling okay again. It's really weird. Like it comes and goes. One of these times when it actually goes, like when the scrolling stops, I'm gonna look at the CPU usage because it might be spiking or something. Yeah, I'm not a fan of PPAs either because they get abandoned like instantaneously. Not that things on the AUR don't get abandoned. That happens all the time too. Create a script that will echo something just for the sake of the stream title. That's a good idea. I can do that. All right. Actually, let me make sure that I can actually go through and I'm still on this. So we have a terminal here. So we can see, and we'll zoom in so that you can see. And actually, I probably will go through and put the camera on the right here again. All right. And we'll touch script, my script, script.tx or .sh. Okay, and then we'll change make it executable. I always do it first because otherwise I'll forget later. Okay, and then we'll vim into that. And then we will go through and do this. Because it says it's important. Shebang. So, echo. Hello, world. Yeah, 755 is the terminal. I never use the numbers. What do I struggle? I struggle with everything in Bash. Okay. Every single Bash script that I've ever done, um, I would I've gotten from like bits and pieces from other tutorials. So yeah, I struggle with everything in Bash. I've never actually gone through and done a Bash tutorial before. Now, if I had to mention something I wanted to learn the most about, I would say I most want to learn about the conditional checks, like the check statements, like if the square brackets, blah blah blah, check this or what, like the thing you would use to check a whether or not a file exists or not or something. Because there's a whole bunch of those things that I would really like to learn about. But I don't know enough about them at all because there's like a ton of them. Like what I don't know anything about them really. The one I've written was to go through and check to see if a file existed, but I pulled that directly from a Stack Overflow help article or something. Yeah, I'd definitely watch that video. Literally, I'd watch. What we should do is do like a co-stream or something like that, where where instead of me going through a Bash tutorial, you are my Bash professor. And honestly, that should have been your channel name, man. Bash Professor. I smell a rebrand. Also, this is back to not scroll. Like I can't scroll up again. I'm looking at the CPU usage 8%. So it's not the CPU. I don't know what the hell's going on there. It's really weird. Trying to scroll back down again, all the way to the bottom. Bashmeister. Also, I'm not rebranding again. I bet you that was a pain in the ass. I wouldn't want to go through and actually do it for my channel, unless I absolutely had to. I would guess if my channel gets big enough, they'd probably ask me to rebrand it, simply because it uses the word Linux in it, and I don't have a license to use that, name. I also do use Tux in the logo, so we'll see if that ever happens. Shell Sensei. Bash MD is a good one too. You definitely should have put a poll up first, man. They got a lot of these these awesome uh, names. That would have been, oh man. Hash bro. It would have got demonetized like crazy. Oh, that's good. Shebang. Honestly, the name of my channel came about because of the podcast. When I first started this was only going to be for the podcast. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but we've done the podcast since 2017. Our first episode of the Linux Cast was in April, actually, it was in January, February 2017. I have the first episode. It was horrendous. It's actually on my personal channel, the first one. Oh, I actually haven't gone there yet. I got distracted. We were trying to rename Terminal for Life's channel. Again. uh, okay. Because I was there. Wait, what the hell? Brave is still downloading back here? What the hell? Control. No, go away. What the hell? That was 28 minutes long. What was it doing? Compiling it from scratch? I... I'm just going to beat the crap out of this computer. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if it's this. I'm sure this will work. There we go. It works. See? I wrote a script. it but it should. I mean, granted, I don't haven't used Paro before, but it still should have been the just the binary. And thing is, I can't even blame the Firefox problems on it because I do have a contact email that you could use. It is email at thelinuxcast.com. If I can type. Yeah, I'm wondering if I didn't choose the bin or the binary. It's possible. In which case, that would have been funny. Oh man, it's dumb. Really. Seriously. The funny thing is Tyler, who does the podcast with me, guys, he's been having problems with his computer lately too. Like he had his graphics card and power supply die, and then he went to that Mac for a little while, and that went crappy. And now he's running a laptop that he couldn't get OBS and he uses Unity, I think, to he, he uses some kind of game engine to do his game development, and he can't get him to run at the same time. Um, and now yesterday he was running Windows, so that's when he's been having problems too. It's computer problems are just they're infecting people right now. So that'd be fun, just kind of a testing to see how it goes. Maybe we don't even have to do a stream. We'll just do like a code video or something like that, so it's offline. So in case it's horrible and my computer crashes and dies and burns and explodes, it's not live. Something. All right. I'm gonna, guys. I appreciate you for. I really do appreciate you guys for showing up to the stream. You didn't get what was promised. I did do a script for somebody, Hello World, uh, but my computer's just. I mean, something's going wrong. So I'm gonna go figure that out. Thanks everybody for watching. Um, wish me luck, I guess, because it's guaranteed that I'm distro hopping. Like it's gonna happen because that's usually the way I solve problems. Because right now I don't even know what the hell's going on. It's really weird. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. I probably should go through and actually do this before I go. Thanks everybody who supports me on Patreon. Devon, Marcus, Meglin, Donnie, Sven, East Coast Web, Merrick, Camp, and Mitchell. Thanks everybody for watching. And like I said, this is the first stream that I've actually completely failed at. The rest of them are just moderate failures. This was a complete failure. So thanks everybody for watching. I will do better next week. See you guys then.